Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the South Fulton Coalition Citizens Conversation. My name is Rashard Snellings, and we have our special guest tonight, Tashima Freeman. Ms. Freeman is a resident of District 6, and she is running to be the next city council person representing the city of South Fulton. Now, although you may not be a resident of District 6, it is very important to engage and pay attention to this election because, as you know, the council person for District 6, they have a vote that affects all of our lives and affects everything that goes on within the city of South Fulton. Now, I just wanted to go over a few ground rules, and these are ground rules that we provided to all of the candidates prior to them accepting the invitation, and I'll just state those for the record. This is an opportunity for the candidate to talk about themselves. We ask that each candidate refrain from badgering anyone, including any opponents or any residents or anyone on the city council or that works in the city government. We prefer that you not mention your competition because the public is intended to learn more about you and your platform, not them. If there are any topics that cannot be discussed, please announce them up front and explain why. If you are unable to make this date, that's just general verbiage. Let us know within 48 hours. Please do not attack anyone, and we will ensure that you are not attacked as well. We will require everyone to provide their name based on the honor system. The recording will be made available to you and the public within 24 hours. And without any further ado, I would like to turn it over to Miss Tashima Freeman. So, Miss Freeman, typically what we do is we have an opening statement, but for the opening statement, we want to switch it up a little bit this time. And we just wanted to see if you can just let the audience know some of the roles and responsibilities of a council person and what you know about the position. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I'm glad you put this together. I love the intimate set. Thank you. Okay, so some of the roles and duties of a council member are pretty straightforward. They create legislation. They assist in zoning if we need zoning. They are the liaison between government and the community. So that is a gist of what a council member does and what their roles and duties are.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Now, recently we've seen at the council meetings where there has been a lot of discussion regarding the millage rate cap. As you know, right now the millage rate cap is 12.399, and we also had a discussion. We also had a discussion about the millage rate cap. Now, what was your position on the millage rate cap? Did you agree with the way the council voted on that?
I think, and you'll probably hear me mention this multiple times this evening, with the millage rate cap and how it was handled. I think a lot of times our community and our residents, they don't know the ins and outs of politics and things such as the millage rate cap. And instead of giving us vague and very broad no's and yeses to things, I think it would have been better for our council members to actually explain to us this is why we have that cap. This cap is going to benefit us because of X, Y, and Z. And I think a lot of times that is what's missing from our current council members. So, and if you're asking if I'm for the millage rate cap or if I'm against the millage rate cap, and I like most of us, I own my home in the city. So I've seen my property taxes go up. I've seen my property value go down. So right now, I think for me, it is going to be a case of what is going to be beneficial to us as residents.
Okay. All right. Now, did you have an opportunity to attend the town hall that they had at Enon Church? I believe it was about two Tuesdays ago.
No, I did not. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I did not have the opportunity to attend.
Okay. All right. So, what is some of the feedback that you've heard from residents in District 6 regarding the millage rate cap? Regarding the whole controversy that came up regarding that cap?
And I mentioned this. Some people feel like it's vague. They don't know why something is not happening or why it is happening. I've heard people say they want the cap to stay. I've heard people say they're tired of their property, they're tired of the value of their home being so low and not fully understanding if that's happening because of the millage rate cap or not. So I've heard mixed things from our residents, but one thing that's consistent amongst everyone is that they're not happy with the communication of how things are being given to us as
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, a week or two ago, you had an event, and you were it was an event by the Citizens for Elected Leaders, and I think I heard you mention that by professionally, you're an accountant. Is that correct?
and
Okay, so with you being an accountant, what were some of the things that you were seeing, what you were thinking about when you saw how the budget jumped from 200? I think the previous budget was $205,000, and then it went up to 400 and something thousand, 400 and something $1 million. Now, keep in mind that a big portion of the reason why it increased was because we had to allocate funds for the police headquarters and the fire training facility. So what were your thoughts on that as well?
okay. And I'm going to repeat what I said at the other forum. We have a lot of things that are happening on a federal level. And unfortunately, those things are going to impact our lives just a tad bit heavier than what is happening in our city level, if I'm being transparent. I think if we're going to increase our budget that much, and let's just be very frank, budgets do increase. We do go over budget. That is not abnormal at all. You just want to ensure that you are allowing enough so that you're not going too far over. I think there needs to be something in that budget that will ensure that when things start to fall apart with the education system, with jobs and resources, that as a city we have something to fall back on and something in place so that on a local level we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Ron Booth. He has his hand raised. And
Mhm.
Before you begin, I just want to let the audience know if you have a question that you would like to ask directly to Ms. Freeman, if you can just use the reaction button, raise your hand, and we will unmute you and let you interact directly with Ms. Freeman. Ron, you have the floor.
Okay, I was just going to take care of the question in the chat, and that's from Miss Tinkera. I hope I pronounced that right. She would like you, Ms. Freeman, to share more about your experience working in the government or for municipalities.
Okay. Truth be told, I have no prior experience being in the government. I have never run for a political office. But I don't think that takes away from what I'm capable of doing. Also, don't think that will dictate how I will perform. There was a time where I was not an accountant and I had no accounting experience. And I can honestly say that when I come into a role, when I come into a position, I not only intend on exceeding your expectations, I intend on exceeding my own expectations. And those expectations are extremely high. So I do not have experience, but I'm not opposed to getting that experience.
All right. So I would like to explore that a little bit more, that response a little bit more. So do you have any skills that you would consider are transferable to a council person, considering the fact that you are going to be a policymaker and you're going to be making decisions on some very controversial and very important items. So, do you have any skills that you would say are transferable? And then the second part to that question is how do you think actually I'll just let you answer the first part and then we'll go to the second part.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that's a great question. And yes, 100 times yes. Outside of just being an accountant, I am also an entrepreneur and I am also a Six Sigma certified holder. So, which basically just means that I dive in on systems and processes. I know for a fact, even with policies and things of that nature, we have to sometimes go a little bit deeper to figure out how something needs to be written in place. So if we're going to have a policy for said thing, why are we having that policy? And that's where some of those systems and those processes come in place. But also as an entrepreneur, it has allowed me to create those processes, create those policies. And of course, it is on a smaller scale when it comes to entrepreneurship. But me having that expertise has been beneficial to me actually making money in my business. So I know I have those transferable skills.
Thank you so much for that response. Now, I would like to turn it over to Pamela Harvey. Ms. Harvey, you can unmute yourself and you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
I
Yes,
hear you.
Okay. I wanted to ask, what's the candidate's name?
Tashima.
Toshiba. Where have you ever been employed in the private sector as an accountant?
In the private sector.
Yes.
Um, a lot of it has been more public. I've done a lot of nonprofit. I've been in the nonprofit sector more than anything. Although I currently work with Emory University, I am directly under the Carter Center. So even that is still considered nonprofit. So more so of nonprofit than anything.
Can you tell me where you went to school?
Of course. Do you want my college background or high school?
Well, just the college where you received your accounting degree.
Okay, so I went to Valdosta State. I actually received my degree from American Intercontinental University.
Okay. I want to ask you about the public sector. Um, I was wondering how does that work uh with you being an accountant? I mean, is there a salary involved in that?
And me
I,
being an
I don't know how to
accountant,
I don't know how the public sector versus well, I know the private sector, but the public sector, how do you all get compensated for your
it's
work?
salary based. Yeah, it's salary based.
Oh, it's salary based.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Miss Pamela.
Okay.
All right, so there's a question from the chat that I would like to ask. Most elected officials have no experience in government. My question is, what is your plan or strategy to have a successful 4 years? And I'll let you answer the first part of the question.
Okay. So first let me just, and this will provide a little context. Me possibly running for city council has been not always on my radar. This was definitely something I had to go and sit with God with to ensure that this is what I needed to do. And even in that time, that has been me doing research, me educating myself. Just like I was going to an interview, I want to educate myself on that company. I have taken that same approach to fully understand not just the city of South Fulton, but some of those processes, some of what's happening in the city hall, what's happening with our residents, what's happening at the park. So although I don't have the experience, and of course most people don't have that experience, right now, even running this campaign, my main goal is to be fully educated and use my expertise and bring that along with me.
Thank you for that. And then there's a part two of this question. What is the number one thing you feel an elected official can have to build a great city?
The ability to adapt and build relationships. Right now, for us especially, we are right here with College Park. There is no reason why we don't have an amicable relationship with the city of College Park, and we do business together, and we partner on things to help make our residents thrive. Because at the end of the day, you can blink and you'll be in College Park, and blink again and be right back in the city of South Fulton. So what's happening with those residents on Old National and College Park is honestly probably happening with those residents in the city of South Fulton. So I think the big thing as a city council is for you to be able to be adaptable and have that good relationship with them.
Thank you for that response. Now I see a hand up from Ms. Harvey. Ms. Harvey, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to ask every candidate this question. I was wondering, are you willing to release your financials?
You as a city council member or at my,
as a candidate.
and I want to make sure I fully understand you. Are you referring to from my corporate job or are you referring to me as a
Yeah,
council?
well, your personal finances.
Um,
Because basically, I'm going to ask everybody this because I
I,
want to know how much you owe school. I want to know if you owe a bunch of money to for school loans, high debt, and that sort of thing.
and I just want to ask Ms. Pamela, is there a reason why so I can make sure I answer that question correctly for you?
Yes, from my experiences, and I've been at this a long time, I find out that running for office seems to be somewhat the only game in town when you want to become employed and pay off bills with candidates. I'm not saying you're like that, but I've lived in other cities,
Yeah.
and usually they come in there with this high debt, big IRS bill, school loans that they got to pay off, and so they at running for office is the only game in town to have access to money.
Okay. So, Ms. Pamela, thank you for that, and I appreciate you for clarifying it because I think it will help me to answer your question better. I am not necessarily open to it because I don't think that my personal income will affect how I do my job. But I want to also add to piggyback on what you said. One, city council members do not make enough money to just pay off a boatload of debt, from my understanding. And two, when I decided to do this, please don't take this the wrong way. Money wasn't even a thought because, in my opinion, I make enough at my corporate job to where I don't necessarily have to think about what I'm going to make as a city council member. And for me, this is kind of like a long-term community service, not necessarily oh, I'm gonna make more money. I don't think, and I don't know exactly what the city council members are making in the city of South Fulton, but I don't see how that could assist me in paying off a student loan if I'm being very transparent with you. And I can understand that there may have been some people in the past that you dealt with, and maybe those cities were larger or not, but for me personally, it wouldn't assist. It wouldn't assist at all. So if you're asking, am I open to sharing my financials when it comes to me being a city council or me having a P card? 1000%. You can have it as an open book. That you all are at the top of the totem pole and I'm beneath you when it comes to this hierarchy. So on a financial council level, 100%. On a personal level, I don't see why that would be necessary.
Well, but okay, the salary isn't the question. It's that as a council member, you have access to a taxpayer's money. That's what I'm saying. So that can be an aphrodisiac to a person who owes a lot of money. Now, like I said, I've experienced this when I was living in other cities and towns, and I'm pretty sure in today's climate,
Yeah.
this is the case, especially with what's that woman up in Illinois who wasn't even qualified to run, but she won as mayor and she ripped off the taxpayers. What is her name? I forgot her name, but anyway, they got her out. But I want to make sure this isn't the case. Don't take this personal because I'm gonna ask every candidate that.
No, Pamela, I do not.
Okay.
I understand why you even asked
Okay.
the question. And I do hate that those people do those things because then it kind of it takes your eye a little bit on how am I supposed to trust this person. Like I said, when it
Right.
comes to as a council member, it's an open book. You can have the financials for that. I do not care at all. When it comes to my personal, I still don't necessarily see how it's important in this level. But I'm a good money manager. So I will say that. And
Okay. Okay.
again, Ms. Pamela, I do not take any offense, and I do hope I answered your question.
All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Miss Harvey, someone answered that in the chat. It was Tiffany Henyard, the former mayor I
Okay.
think it's of Dalton.
And let us not forget Jason, what's his name? The mayor of Stonecrest. He's in jail, he's in prison now. Because he ripped off a bunch of money so he can pay off his lakefront home. Jason, what's his name? He was the mayor of Stonecrest.
Yeah.
I forgot his last name.
Okay.
But that's why I asked these questions. Thank you so much.
You're
You
welcome.
are. We have a hand up from Yashina Colbert Bradford. You have the floor.
Thank you, but my question's been answered. It's okay. Thank you very much.
Are you welcome? All right, now there's a question from Andre in the chat. The city of South Fulton has a lot of issues. How will you balance constituent services, legislative policy, finance, budgeting, and partnerships in the community, outreach, and still maintain your full-time job?
Good question. Okay, so first off, I feel like I'm already doing all of those things. But on a serious note, my full-time job is somewhat hybrid. I don't go in every day. I only go in on Wednesdays. I do a really, really good job at my role. So I have that time to do the things that I need to do. I know that a lot of people say city council is a part-time job. In my opinion, I don't think that it's a part-time job. I will say I have stepped back from my entrepreneurial journey so that I can put city council on the forefront. I've done both. I've done corporate, I've done entrepreneurship, I've done mom, I've done coaching, I've done all of that at the same time. So I knew that I would have to step back on something so that city council could come in the forefront. And I decided to do that with my entrepreneur journey. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much for that. Now, the next question I have for you is, how familiar are you with the form of government that the city of South Fulton has?
As far as it being a strong mayor or a weak mayor, or
Yes, yes. And and so are you pretty well versed with the charter?
a tad bit, but enough.
Okay. So from the amount about the charter that you do know, are there any specific charter recommendations that you think we should be prescribing to the General Assembly?
I think, especially when we are talking about the mayor and the council members, I think we should put a lot more focus on as a whole. And I wouldn't consider this a charter. I'll be honest with you. Forgive me, because I'm gonna butcher answering your question. Sometimes we have to take a step back. Right now, there is no respect in our council seat at all whatsoever amongst members and even a resident toward the council members and the mayor. And even how we spoke a little earlier on how someone can say mute that person. It's a lack of respect that's happening, so we can't be on one accord to even create good charters. And as much as I'm here for District 6, I am here for the city of South Fulton. So I think it sometimes starts with going back to the basics and figuring out how do we gain that respect for us to be able to, I may not like you on a personal level, but I respect you enough to know that this policy is important to you in your district. Let's go ahead and put that together. So I would hate to not give you a straightforward answer, but I think we need to go back to the basics on that.
So when you say go back to the basics, will we be going back to the original charter?
I don't think that the original charter was the worst. I think that it could have been upheld a little bit more. And I think that being that we are a new city, sometimes it isn't just about, okay, we're going to try this thing. And if it doesn't work that one time, we're going to be done with it. Sometimes you have to go in and reconstruct things a little bit because it may work. It may just not work in that capacity, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, all right. I just want to remind the audience, if you would like to ask a question to Ms. Freeman, please use the reaction option and raise your hand, and we will acknowledge you, take you off of mute so that you can ask a question. So at the beginning of this year, and this has been happening a lot over the past couple of years, but we saw that there were some issues with purchase card spending and travel and things of that nature. What were your thoughts about the way it was handled? And had you have been on city council, how would you have voted to put a forensic audit on just one person, or should it have been on the entire elected body?
Okay, I am in accounting. I feel like there should be a forensic audit anyway, if I'm being very transparent. And unless even if it is an open book where we can go and we can pull the statements from our accounting cards, even if that was the case, I think that there should still be an audit, just like in a department. And I tell people this all the time. I'm helping you by ensuring that you are spending the correct way, because you don't want to go over budget if you can help it. So I think with our council members, I think we should have an audit, and that's just my honest opinion. And I know that may be unsettling for some, but if we're spending city money on the city, then it should be no issue.
All right, so when you say there should be an audit, should it be an operational audit? Should it be a forensic audit? Should it be a compliance audit? What type of audit should we have on those P cards?
Say this. Operation, forensic, honestly, after a while, if we're seeing that things are not working, we're seeing that budgets are increasing, we're going over budget, the logical thing would be to have an audit, to be honest with you. That's the logical thing to do. You want to, before we can make changes to our city, before we can advance and progress our city, we need to see where our city is going wrong. And the best way to do that is to do an audit.
All right. Do you have a preference for what type of audit? Would it be operational, forensic, or compliance?
I think we should do both, because even as a resident, I might call the trash for a concern that I may have. I do not get my problems resolved. Honestly, I have a neighbor who complains about things as well on an operational level. So I do think that honestly it should be both.
Okay.
Now,
All
I know
right.
it won't happen, at the same time, but I think it should be considered for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Ms. Pamela Harvey, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Freeman, this is going to be a sensitive question, and please don't take it personal.
Okay.
Now, your religious dress is called a hijab, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you think that that would be problematic for you if you are elected in that position? Because see, you're not only going to deal with you know other council members in this area, you're going to be dealing with people from the state, in Washington, D.C. and that sort of thing. And do you think that'll be problematic in today's climate?
Not at all.
Okay.
My hijab is not just something I just throw on my head.
Okay.
Honestly, it's a way of morale. It is how I ensure that I am always upholding myself at a certain standard. And when I go into those rooms, it not only demands respect, but a lot of times I do get it. My hijab, I go into rooms now, and I may be the only Black girl, and I may be the only Muslim girl in that room. And I still, again, and this is why I said it's important for you to be able to adapt. I am still able to communicate effectively, build those relationships, and adapt. And I know that we have a commissioner in Fulton County who is a Muslim. And she has almost paved the way for me to be able to do this. So no, I don't think it will affect my ability to do this at all.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Pamela.
All right, now there are questions in the chat. HOAs in South Fulton have at times been accused of overreach and even fraud. Do you believe the city has a role in holding HOAs accountable, and if so, how?
I'll be honest with you. That is something I am still trying to figure out. I cannot answer that question for you because I too have an HOA and I have not ever just been okay with how things are ran with my HOA. At one point, my sewer and water were being covered in one bill, and that included my trash. Now I have a trash bill. And it has never been clear as to why I have the trash bill or why this came out of the blue after being here for so many years. So I cannot answer that question because I do not know, but I will tell you it is also a concern of mine as a resident.
Thank you for that. Now there's another question in the chat, and this is a little lengthy. I've noticed a lot of criticism of the current. Hold on one second, my screen just jumped. I've noticed a lot of criticism of the current council in the last couple of forums. I'm not here to defend them, but I do think they've done some things well. Can you share a few policies or initiatives from the council that you believe have been effective and that you want to continue or build upon?
Even as small as, and I want to make very clear, they will not always get it right. So we won't jump on anyone for that. And when they do, we can give them their props for when they try to. Even them pushing for the Miracle League of South Fulton to have that baseball field for those kids, that is a small thing that costs a lot of money, but it is going to be beneficial for not just the kids, but those parents who have autistic children who a lot of times are not bringing their children outside of the house. They're keeping their children inside of the house, feeling somewhat uncomfortable to be outside with their residents and the rest of their community. And I think even something like that is a great thing that the city of South Fulton is doing. So yes.
All right, thank you for that. Now, do you have any thoughts on how you will handle opposing opinions with other council members?
Yeah. So like most of us, we work a job. There is going to always be a time where you have opposing views and opinions with your constituents. And in most cases, I would do exactly what I do now. Listen, fully understand, clarify to make sure that they know that I understand, and be respectful. You don't have to yell. You don't have to get irate. You just have to genuinely have respect and get to a middle ground. I probably won't get to a point where I'm on your team and I'm with you, but I want to at least get to a middle ground to where we can say, let's meet here in the middle to actually get some progress made.
Thank you so much for that. Now, if we could go back to the question I was asked about the HOAs. There was a question in the chat. Is there a reason that you have not run for your HOA board of directors?
There was a time when I thought about running for my HOA, but honestly, the thought didn't come back to me. I'll be honest with you. I thought about it once and then I didn't think about it again.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I just want to remind the audience, if you have any questions that you would like to ask directly to Ms. Freeman, please use the reaction button and raise your hand. I'm going to continue reading the questions out the chat. District 6.
He wants you all to be unmute so you can ask your question.
Yes. Yashina, you have the floor. I've unmuted you.
Yes, thank you so much. My question, I think you might have bypassed it in the chat. My only question was, what would be your plan for District 6? What do you have planned for District 6?
Okay, so I am a firm believer in one. Okay, let me take a step back before I get overly excited. You all don't trust your government. I want to make sure that you all trust me. And a big way that I know that can happen is not just me being transparent on a financial level, but me being transparent just as a whole, making sure that you all understand if we're saying no to a thing, why we're saying no. If we're saying yes to a thing, why we're saying yes. So I want to make sure that you all have that. But I also want to ensure I have taken some time to visit like the senior citizens. And I will tell you one thing I've noticed is they need resources and it needs to be easily accessible for them. A lot of them are on fixed income, and a lot of times people just want to give them bingo games. They like bingo games. That's great. but that is not enough to impact their lives for the better. So I want to ensure that our seasoned citizens have some resources. And then our youth. I am very big on the youth because a lot of times when things are happening in this community in a negative way, I'll say, where cars are getting broken into, those are random things happening. They're not 9 out of 10, they're not planned. And it's happening because kids are bored. Kids don't have much to do. And that goes back to sometimes the parents of those children have barriers. Maybe they're not able to do a thing for them. We need to make sure that the youth have access to certain opportunities and certain things that will again impact their lives for the better. Another big thing, and I know you said District 6. I have to make sure that we stop getting these repeat businesses. I'm tired of seeing nail salons. I'm tired of seeing car places, tire shops, oil change. We have about 10 oil change places in this district. And I cannot be the only person that's tired of that. We need businesses in this city that we can spend money at. I am tired of driving outside of my city to spend money. And I wouldn't mind just having a little basic coffee shop right here in my city. And right now we don't have those things. So I want to make sure that, of course, that's where the work comes in. We will probably have to rezone some areas. We just need to do the work to rezone the area. And I think that although that may take some time, if we can at least get it started, we can start seeing some progress. And then even with something as simple as keeping our Walgreens shouldn't have left. And that honestly was the tip that really had me like, let me get into city council. We should have been communicating with the Walgreens to ensure that we did not lose our Walgreens. So things like that. I want to make sure as a whole that we are good as a community. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much for that. Now, Mike Dunn, you have the floor. I've unmuted you.
Thank you, sir. What plans do you have to encourage investors who live in the city of South Fulton to actually open businesses here versus just wanting to spend their money here?
Mike, I want to be very honest. I do not want you to feel away. So, and this is my entrepreneur hat I'm putting on. What I have learned is that we have people who have great ideas. They see a problem, they have the business to fix their problem. Or maybe it's not a problem, maybe it's just something you have a gymnastics area for young girls, which is still beneficial for our community. I think even before we give them these spaces or rezone areas so that they can get in, we need to ensure that those businesses, especially our small businesses, not our developers, but our small businesses, we need to ensure that when they get in business, they're on it. We need to ensure that they are business savvy. We need to ensure that us as a community are in that business, shopping and doing business with them. And I think that that needs to be done first, to be honest with you. It will take time to rezone. It will take time to lease out some of these buildings, but in the meantime, between time, I think that that is a big thing. We need to ensure that our small businesses are going to thrive, and you have to be business savvy. You cannot just say, I have a business. You need to have systems. You need to have processes. You need to have an accounting system set up. You need to have marketing. You need to have a lot of things in place before we just say, hey, we're going to give you this building and you go rock out. Because if you get in that building and you don't rock out, now we're back to having turnover, and we don't want that. We want our businesses to succeed in this city. I hope that answered your question, Mike.
Mike, did you get your question answered? I will take that as a yes. All right. So there's a question in the chat. In the event that you do not win this election, how will you work with the person that does win to benefit the community?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not here to bash anybody. I don't think it would be realistically possible for me to work with my incumbent. And that's just me being very transparent, and not because I can't work with my incumbent, but I don't believe that my incumbent has set a stage and a scene that's welcoming enough for me to feel comfortable to go to my incumbent. And I think as a councilwoman, that should be priority. Now, when it comes to Tori, because that's my other opponent, I think it's easy to work with Tori. I think even him having that, because I'm big on the youth. I have teenage brothers, I have a young adult brother, and I have a 7-year-old son. The youth is always at the top of my mind. And honestly, it should be at the top of all of our minds. So I'm a lot of times I understand where Tori is coming from. We need to do something about Old National Park. My son played baseball at the park. They have no life. I don't know any other way to put that. They have no life. And the events are needed. So it would be a pleasure to work with Tori.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so just another reminder for the audience. If you would like to ask a question to Ms. Freeman, please feel free to raise your hand. Use the reaction button and raise your hand. Ron Booth, you have the floor.
Okay, thanks, Rashard. And actually, I have a couple of questions. Um, and I want a sincere answer to this first one. I heard you mention earlier how you feel about hierarchy with respect to city council, citizens, etc. And I appreciate that answer. But can you tell us that you would sincerely listen to your constituents and give them the appropriate consideration, even if you don't agree with them?
Yeah, that's easy. I have a 7-year-old son. I do not agree with half the stuff my son says. I don't have a choice but to listen to him because at the end of the day, and I will keep throwing this out there has to be a respect level. He may not be the boss in this house, even though he may think he is, but I have enough respect for him to say, let me hear you out. I don't agree with him with what he's saying, but I even have a way of letting him know I don't agree with you. But I respect what you're saying and I can understand where you're coming from. So when I said that our residents are at the top of their hierarchy, that's real deal. That's just like having a customer in business. I have enough respect for my customer that when they tell me they want a thing, even though I know they don't need a thing, even though I know that I know what I'm talking about and they don't know what they're talking about, I still have to find a way to respectfully either give them what they want or meet them in the middle. So 1000%. And I hope that was sincere enough.
Yeah, I appreciate that response. And you may or may not have seen in the chat a breaking news story about the coach that was arrested for knocking out a 12-year-old at the park.
Yeah.
I was
I
wondering
didn't see it in the chat. I didn't see it in the chat, but I did hear it.
Yeah, I was wondering how familiar you were with that, and um, if you had the chance to go down there just to, assist with whatever's going on, would you have done it, or did you do it?
If I would have been called, or even if I would have known, so today I'll be honest with you, I am a cheer coach here in Burdett. So I have been with my girls this week. We have a pep rally tomorrow, so I honestly have not. When it first happened, we had a forum that evening. And I think by the time I heard about it, it was the next day. There was nothing going on at the park when I drove by. But yeah, it I live right around the corner from the park. If I would have known and I could go, I would 1000% go.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome, Ron.
All right. There's a question in the chat. The city spent $150,000 on Hispanic Heritage Month, more than Juneteenth, in a city that's 90% Black and 40% Hispanic. Who don't attend events, and the event was held in honor of a council member's aunt. As a candidate, how would you handle spending priorities like this?
Okay, so, and I know some of you all were not on here. I am big on us spending money on things that are going to help us. I don't know what that may look like for some of you. But I am not sure if that budget, that size of a budget, was worth spending on an event for that cost. I think if we're doing something that's moving our city forward, then I think we should put a little bit more money in it. But I'll be completely honest with you, and I know that Tori even mentioned this at his at our forum that we had. He did a event in East Point, and I took my son. We had a good time. It doesn't cost hundreds and thousands of dollars to throw events like that. Even if we're doing something for Juneteenth for our community, it doesn't take $200,000 to do something like that. And I think that we need to be a little bit more responsible with the city's budget, so that we can use those funds for other things.
Thank you so much for that question. Now, let's turn over to public comments. So there have been restrictions placed on public comments. Those restrictions require those restrictions require you to be a resident of the city of South Fulton, and you have to comment on something on the agenda. What are your thoughts on that restriction that was placed on the public comments? And do you support lifting those restrictions? And that's my question.
Of course, realistically, if we say that the citizens of South Fulton are on top of us, how can we say we're here for the citizens if we don't know what's wrong? And if they come to us and they say that they have an issue and we're not even here to listen to the issue, I find it a tad bit difficult to fix the problem. I think that's an easy question. 100%. You should be able to communicate. Now, the caveat to that is I think there needs to be a system in place to where those meetings already they run long. Let's be transparent. They run extremely long. So I do think that there needs to be a system in place to where we're not going too far off topic and we're not all over the place. But I think that can be done. We just need to go back to the basics and put a system in place. But yeah, public comment should be a thing. You should have access to say what you need to say.
Thank you so much. And I'm just scrolling through the chat to see if there's any additional questions. Again, if you would like to ask Ms. Freeman a question, please feel free to use the reaction button, and we will acknowledge you. So earlier you have mentioned about seniors, right? And I know District 6 has a sizable senior population. Do you have any special programs, or do you have any thoughts about ideas that you would have to benefit the senior community?
Of course. Okay, so I know that, and this is just from me listening. Sometimes our council members, or just people in general, I won't even say our council members, people in general will say what our citizens need, and they don't give a rat's behind about those things. They are very simple people. They want to be able to walk their neighborhoods with it being safe. They want light. They want to be able to see, and they need help sometimes. So we don't want them to be in a place where they have a broken fence and they don't have the money or funds to fix that broken fence. I think it would be very beneficial if we had a program, and I'll list out two things. I have a few things on my list. I'll list out two of them. If we had a program somewhat like AAA, right, where our seasoned citizens can call a number or get on a line and put in a request for something that could assist them. I think we can double down on that and ensure that whatever that thing is, whether it be yard work, whether it be just someone doing regular maintenance, that those people be from the city of South Fulton or business owners within the city of South Fulton. And to take it a step further, even with them getting places, some of them have to wait until their niece or daughter or grandson comes and takes them places, whether it be to the grocery store or just up the street somewhere. If we had maybe a code, or even with those, and I know they would probably be opposed to using those cars, but even like those cars that run on their own, if they could get that for a tiny amount, $4, like nothing that's drastically hurting them. It will cost money, but again, if we're putting our budget toward things that will impact our people's lives, then I think it would be better.
Thank you for that. Now, Ron Booth, you have the floor.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to mention that we have only about 12 minutes left,
Okay.
and then reemphasize what Richard said about raising your hand if you have a question. I know that there are people out there that may have a question, and if you don't want to say it out loud, then you can just type it in the chat. We'll ask it for you. Number one, and then secondly, if we don't get additional questions, Ms. Freeman, we'd like for you to make some sort of closing statement and let everybody know why they should vote with you. But I think, or vote for you. But I think we just got that answer. There's a couple of questions.
Okay.
All
Richard?
right. Ms. Tunkara, you have the floor. Please unmute your mic.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Hi, Tashima. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So I grew up in South Fulton, born and raised. I went to Banneker High School, and something that I think that's District 5, but something that I experienced while in high school was the lack of resources. And it wasn't due to like me not being capable enough to participate in different internships or whatever, but I think it was due to the lack of visibility for a lot of us on this side of town. So I want to know, like, what are your plans to ensure that the youth in District 6 get the same amount of visibility as youth across Atlanta, so that they're able to have access to like different internships or um, work with um, be a part of different like trade programs or just have visibility, because there is so much like hidden potential in our city, but there's not like anyone to kind of bolster a lot of these kids up. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on that.
And when you say visibility, you just mean for us to be put out there just a little bit more, correct? You're muted.
I wasn't able to unmute myself, but just thinking about like like for example, I went to Agnes Scott, and my school works very closely with like companies like Delta and Habitat for Humanity to get us internships there. So I'm talking more like that. Like, how will you utilize like the connections that you have, and then the connections that the city has to give more opportunities to youth, not just like something that looks good for photos, but like tangible,
I
sustainable, long-term opportunities for youth that will impact them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'm with you 1000%. So one of the big things that I really would love to see is something like a makerspace where we do have those opportunities. But I will say a big part of that is going to come from me getting out there, talking with people, connecting with people who already have those things in place and they're willing to bring it here to the city of South Fulton. I know for a fact that there are kids who, and this is small, but this is important. There are kids who are about to graduate high school and they don't even know that they need to take an SAT to go to college. They are not exposed on certain things. And a lot of times, our children just need exposure. If we show them something, they'll be way more willing to go out there and go do something with it. So I'm with you 100%. I know a makerspace is a big thing that I really want to dive into. I also want to ensure that and there are programs that do it. I just have to figure out a way that I can make it done for the city of South Fulton, where we expose kids to trade schools, to colleges, whether that be on tours, whether we bring those tours here to the city. But I want to do something like that so that our children get that exposure. The way that's going to happen is me going out there and making that relationship for us.
Thank you so much for that. Yashana Colbert Bradford, you have the floor.
I just want to say thank you so much. I'm happy that I joined this evening. You were definitely a fresher breath air to listen to this evening. And I just wanted to give a suggestion to the host. I think it would be great after listening to the interviews that you all have done. It would be great to have like a roundtable with the citizens to just kind of hear their take on the different candidates and their thoughts. Um, if that would be possible, but it would be nice to hear some perspectives from others about what they've heard with the other candidates as well. That's my only thing. Thank you so much. Thank you for having it.
Thank you so much for that recommendation. Ms. Harvey, I see you. Did you still have a question, or I see you put your hand down?
Yes. Ms. Tenkura, let me just say this. The programs are out there for the youth. And the reason why I know this is because I posted them on my Facebook site as well as the other um, members of the council, where there are programs are there for them to take advantage of. Now, after this situation with Trump canceling out the Job Corps situation, you had the president of Morris Brown did a big grandstanding routine on having the interested students to come over there, potential students to come over there once they left Job Corps to see what they can do for them. So I called him and asked him, what what's your status report on that? I said, how many of them came to you to check out your programs? And he said a few. I said, well, what is a few?
Yeah.
He hung up the phone. He didn't want to answer the question. So basically, that tells me nobody came to him about those programs. And also, I posted a trade school that was sponsored by the African American con- contractors, and it's still up on my Facebook page, where they are looking for young people to come in and sign up. And so the programs are out there, and this is probably to Miss Tenkura, but there is no excuse whatsoever for not any young person not having anything to do. There are a lot of resources out there and programs, and you can't put it all on the backs of your elected officials to do something. How about putting personal responsibility in finding resources for your children to have something to do? Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I want to piggyback on what Ms. Pamela said because I actually agree that you cannot. But I will say, when I speak with some parents, especially the ones who feel like they're going through those troubled teen years where the child is just not listening and kind of doing whatever they want to do. A lot of times they don't know that those resources are out there. And all I think we need to do is to be able to put it out there in front of them. Miss Pamela, I don't follow you on Facebook, so I don't think that I would ever know some of the things that you're posting on your Facebook because I don't follow you. So and that goes for anybody, even if I post a resource. I think even if we had a central spot. I know we have our website, and they've done a lot of work over the years to ensure that it is user friendly. But even if we had an app where it easily accessible, here are your resources. Resources for seniors, resources for youth, whatever the case may be. Because I do know that I have spoken to parents, and a lot of them do not know.
Well, guess what? That's what the computer is for. Okay. Now, listen, back in my day, I had to go to the library and dig information up through cards for those of us who are old enough to remember those cards. But that's what the computer is for. You don't always have to have something very accessible.
I'm sorry, but we're not going to be yelling at our candidates in this forum. So I apologize, Miss Harvey, but your tone is a little bit harsh.
I got a spine. It's okay. I know Miss Harvey is just passionate, and I'm not mad at her for being passionate. I appreciate you, Juan.
Ms. Tenkara, you have the floor. This will be the
Yeah.
last question as we are about to wrap up at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you, Ms. Harvey, for saying that. I know for myself, I am first generation American, so my parents are not from here. So I had to rely on, um, like I think there was like the Fulton County Commissioners Advisory Program. I had to rely on that. I had to rely on like my principal who had connections at Banneker at the time. I had to rely on teachers to tell me these things, and sometimes they told me that there wasn't programs on our side of town. So I'm not saying like, we need to hold someone's hand all the way to the finish line, but just like a little bit of exposure so that we're youth and especially in this side of town and in this district are able to have access to those different like internships or like job opportunities or like trade programs. But I do appreciate your thoughts there. Thank you.
All right, and thank you for that. As we wrap up, Ms. Freeman, we'd like to give you the floor to make any closing remarks if you can let everybody know how to reach you, if you have any upcoming campaign events, and why we should elect you as the next city council representative for District 6, representing not only District 6, but the entire city of South Fulton.
Correct. First off, thank you all, and I appreciate the question. That just lets me know that one, you all care. Even understanding the topics that you based your questions on lets me know that that is a concern for you. And I'm keeping that in the front of my mind. I can be found on all social media platforms with my name, Tashima Freeman. All of my events will be listed on my website, and those will be posted next week, TashimaFreeman.com. Um, One thing I want to leave you all with, November 4th, this specific election is going to change the trajectory of the city of South Fulton. We want to ensure that we're changing that trajectory for the better. I know that we've had 4 years and we've been waiting for some things to be pushed forward, and some of us have seen it, a lot of us have not seen it. And I think it's time that we get to a point where we start to see some progression, not just in this district, but in the city of South Fulton as a whole. And I'll continue to say this because we all can agree that it's about time for the city of South Fulton to be more than just a city on the rise. It is time for the city of South Fulton to rise up. So come November 4th, be sure to remember my name. If you have questions, do not be afraid to email me. And I was about to give you all my phone number. You can find all of those things on my website. But don't be afraid to send me a text message. Don't be afraid to email or call me. Miss Pamela, I want you to understand that I did not take any offense to you at all whatsoever. I do appreciate the host this evening though, because they told us that they were gonna watch out for us, and I think they're just doing their part. But Miss Pamela, I did not take any offense. If you see me, give me a hug. It's okay.
Thank you so much. Now, this will actually conclude the District 6 series of town halls. On the 15th, we will be jumping into the District 4 series of town halls, with our first one being Michael Johnson, who is running for the District 4 seat against JC Sebastian. He will be on at 7 p.m. on September 15th, followed by Mel Keaton, who will be, I'm sorry, the incumbent JC Sebastian on September 18th at 7 p.m. And then we will end with Mel Keaton, September 22nd at 7 p.m. There's a fourth candidate, but she did not respond to our email, so we will leave the date open for her, but we're going to proceed with the people who responded. So everyone, thank you for joining, and I look forward to seeing you on a future event.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you. And if you can hang on for just a second, Ms. Freeman, I know you got to go.
Oh, no, of course.
Yeah.
I'll stay on for a second. We got the debrief.
I just wanted to mention and make sure that you knew that I really appreciate how you handle those sensitive questions. Those were very sensitive, about finances and then about your personal attire. I thought you handled it very well, for
Thank
what
you.
that's worth. And if you want to drop your website into the chat real quick, if anyone asks us in a follow-up question, we can send it to them. And you will get a copy of the recording shortly after this is over with. I'd say give it about 10 minutes or so. Are we letting people in still, Richard?
It's over.
Okay, I won't let them in. Plus, it's an iPhone guest with no name. Thank you for that.
Of course. I appreciate you all. I really do. I do like that it was intimate and up close and personal. I enjoy that. The questions were coming fast, but I enjoyed it. I did.
Well, that's great to hear. And if you want us to host something for you, this town hall, or if you like this format, we could do that. And the suggestion on the Citizens Roundtable, I don't know if she meant other candidates or how she meant that, but we could certainly host something like that for you. All you got to do is let us know.
Yeah, I think she was talking about the residents. tell me if I'm wrong. I think she was talking about ResNet. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Uh,
she wanted the roundtable for the residents.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Um,
still our offer still stands. If you want to host one for whatever reason, just let us know.
I 1000% will keep that in mind. I know that I was going to. We really don't have a lot here for like certain meet and greets. So that's what I'm working on now, a meet and greet. But I would love to do another one of these because for me, it was kind of almost like research. Hearing what people were asking questions about let me know directly what they were concerned about. So I am definitely open to doing it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much again, and I appreciate you. I'm impressed by you.
It was a pleasure. I appreciate you both.
All right. Anything else, Richard?
That's it for me.
All right.
Thank
Well, have a
you.
good night.
Have
All
a
right.
good night.
Bye.